Everybody, and how are you today? Well, I'd like to welcome everybody to Naturally Kim's Knitting. I'm Kim, and this is a podcast mainly about knitting, spinning, possibly a little crocheting, and whatever other crafty things I do around the house. All these things I do right here in my house outside of Lima, Ohio. Today's September 3rd, 2019. September, it's a good month. That's my birthday month. And this is episode number 179. Now, you can find me online on Ravelry as NapiersKnits, and then we have a podcast group, Naturally Kim's Knitting. Then you can find me on Instagram as knittin_Kim, and on YouTube, Blogger, and WordPress as Naturally Kim's Knitting. Okay, time for some knit along news. So I closed the threads on September 1st for the finished object and for the baby items. And the winners have been contacted. I've heard from all of my Ravelry people, but I've not heard from my Instagram people. So please check and see if you've received a message or anything from me. And if you have, please contact me. You have until the 14th of the month to get back with me. If I don't hear, then the prizes get put back into the bundle, which I know that Miss Betsy, I know that you want the Adorable Baby Knits book. So you'll need to check that out and contact me. I have 2 of those. Okay. Oh, so for this, starting this month, we have a finished object knit along just like every other month. Take a picture of your finished object and post it either under the Naturally Kim's Knitting podcast thread for finished objects for September, or you can put it on Instagram as NKKFO September 2019. And there will be a link in the show notes for these. And then we have our new one, which is work in progress. And you have till the end of October to work on your works in progress. The word slipped my mind. I wanted to say anything but that word. Anyways, you have until the end of October to finish those. Take pictures, put them into either the Ravelry thread for that, or you could put it in on Instagram under NKK for Naturally Kim's Knitting, in case you're wondering. NKK WIP, Works in Progress, 2019. So NKK WIP 2019. Can't wait to see how many of you crafty people are working on things that you started before September 1st. And we'll hopefully be able to finish before the end of October. So let's see. Time to talk about what's on my needles. Well, before I go into what's on my needles, look at what's on my head. This was made by my friend Nina, who has a blog called Nina's at My House, where she posts her own patterns and everything. And I showed you last week the dishcloth I did. Well, this, sorry, now my hair is going to be all over the place, is a beautiful headband. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? I did this out of Lion's brand Comfy Cotton Blend. It should have a color name. So, Soothing Lavender. This was given to be my daughter and grandchildren for, I'm not sure if it was Mother's Day. It wasn't my birthday because my birthday's coming up. So I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to be beginning 2 more patterns for Nina. Then I'm working on a beautiful shawl. Oh, for Myla. Myla, you are so creative. I just love working on this. It's not a difficult pattern, but it is so beautiful. I can't wait to show it to all of you. Wait till you see it. And you guys chose the color that I'm using, so I'm using that big ball of, it was different shades of blue, and it is perfect. It is perfect. Anyways, so I'm working on those. Then I've got another one I will be starting, but I'm not going to advertise it yet because I need to first get the pattern in front of me. Anyways, what else is on my needles? Well, my Christmas gift for my dear friend. I've got one sock done, so I'm not putting this under the finished objects yet. But it's when I get the other one done, I will be publishing this sock pattern, and it will be free for 24 hours. So I will put a little blurb out there when I finish the other sock. I don't know why I was out trimming roses and tomatoes, and maybe something made me itch. Anyways, so I'll put it on sale for free for like 24 hours. So I'll put a blurb out on YouTube, and if you're interested, that will give you 24 hours from that time to order it free. After that, it's $2.50, which is not a bad price. I was looking at a pair of socks today, and they were charging like $8.25 for a sock pattern. I just sit there and I go, I can't pay that. Not and then invest the money in that I would be for. I'm sorry, it's so dark today. That doesn't help. The money and then invest the money I'd need to buy the yarn. So it's just, yeah. I can't charge that much, so I charge $2.50, hoping that it will attract people. You know, it shows that my work, that it represents the work that I've put into creating the pattern and knitting it up so that you guys can see. But I don't like charging an arm and a leg for a pair of socks. No pun intended. Anyways, so I've got that on my needles. Then these poor little things have been neglected. Oh, I should tell you, that's my pattern. The other socks, and the yarn is from DagmarEir, and it's her Seashell base. Anyways, then this is my soup kitchen sock, and I just feel so bad. It's Chroma Twist Pegasus, but I haven't been able to give it the attention that it deserves. And with it being as we have a light out above our table, and that must just give me the right amount of light, because boy, you cannot see that at all, no matter which way I turn it. That's the best. Anyways, these socks, they're about the same length right now, but I've got a long ways to go, and I've just been helping people out with their pattern tests, so my stuff kind of gets put on the back burner. Okay. Wow, that's all I have on my needles. Now for things I've gotten done. I showed you the head. Oh no, I've got one more thing on my hook. You know, I am not known for crocheting. Because ever since arthritis moved in and made himself at home, arthritis, it hurts more to crochet than it does to knit. I know, maybe it's probably the way I hold the needle or hold the hook or whatever, but I have finally got myself a knitting position that's perfect. I just don't want to spend the time to fiddle around to find a crocheting one. But I've decided I've got all this fingering weight yarn that I've accumulated, and I was going to make a cozy memory blanket, but then I thought, why just not make a little blanket like that? So my goal was to make it fit a full-size bed, a double bed. My husband goes, this isn't going to be long enough. No, he didn't say it like that, but he did say that it's not going to be long enough. So okay, so then I have one other thing that I finished. I cannot show you the pattern because it's Cece's super secret project, but I want to show you. I am so disappointed. Remember last week I talked about how thrilled I was with my wool-free sock yarn in the Timeless colorway, and show you this without showing the pattern. And I still am. I love that part. But then I knit up the second sock. Now these are Christmas presents, and I'm rather disappointed because look, compare if you can. No stripes, no white stripes. lots of white stripes. So I sent them an email yesterday, and I let them know that I am really disappointed because I was number one pattern testing, which Cece totally understood. She was fine, you know. She said the pattern turned out lovely. She was just so sorry about the yarn, and I was too. And I told them I was pattern testing, and these are supposed to be a Christmas gift. I don't think the person I'm going to give them to minds if they're not matchy-matchy, but still, it kind of irritated me a little bit. So I got an email back from them today. They're saying they're going to turn all my information into quality control. I gave them the lot number, the yarn, the colorway, all that stuff. And they told me today they're going to send me 2 skeins in the same colorway. I'm just hoping that they don't turn out the same all the way through. We will see when the time comes. I might actually give one of them away as a prize. I don't need 2 of the same colorway. Not when I can make a pair of socks from one of them. Okay, so that was me ranting and raving. I'm sorry about that. That irritates me when you buy it. It wasn't expensive yarn. It was, let's see if I can read the price. $4.99 for a pair of socks, and that's a good price for sock yarn. But I told my husband, I bought this at Hobby Lobby, and when I was making up the first sock, I said, I'm going to get my Christmas gift yarn at Hobby Lobby from now on. And he goes, oh, sounds like a good idea. Then I knit these up, and I showed them to him. I said, look at this. I said, I am just so upset about this. And he goes, well, I guess you're back to NitPicks. I said, I guess I am. Not that, it's not Hobby Lobby's fault. That it goes back to the manufacturer, and that's why I notified the manufacturer and not Hobby Lobby. What are they going to do? You know, I've already knit up the yarn. It's not like they can give me credit or anything. So, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm venting with you guys, and I'm sorry. I know we're friends, but you don't need to listen to a half hour of venting on something. It just irritates me. That's right. Okay, that's enough. Okay, I haven't had any questions for me for a long, long time. Not for a long time, but that's okay. It's September, which means KnitPicks has a new yarn that's on sale. Not new to them, but, you know, a different yarn. All of their Alpaca Yarn is 20% off. I wish I could, but I can't. Won't be able to do it next month either, because if we get back from the UK, I'll have 1 week in there to get myself back on Ohio time and packed to go out and see my daughter and her husband and my grandchildren. So October is going to be a traveling month. So I won't be able to buy any alpaca yarn. That's okay though. I am probably going to be showing pictures of my grandchildren, as I always do in the introduction, but they're going to be in a different setting. That's because they went on a trip to Yellowstone, and they met their Grandpa Marty, and they met their Aunt Jessica and Uncle Nathan there, and they love their Aunt Jessica and Uncle Nathan. I mean, oh. And Nathan is just a tall, skinny fella, and then there's a picture of him walking down, walking across a bridge or a wooden walkway of some kind, holding Tobias's hand. And I said, you know, if Tobias would have been looking up at him, I would have said, and I have dreams. But I tell you, Nathan could get those children to fall asleep on his shoulder with no problem whatsoever. Jessica and Nathan are just super, super aunts and uncles. Anyways, and Grandpa Marty is no slouch, let me tell you. He's pretty good too, and he loves those grandkids, and he loves his kids. So anyway, so the pictures that I'm going to be having at the beginning, that's what most of them are. Might put 1 or 2 other things in there, I'm not sure. So yeah. And then my son, who just started going back to for his pre-med a week ago, well, his in-laws, I always hate calling them that, Rachel's folks decided they wanted to take a family trip, which they do every year. And so Ian's taking time off from school after being on 1 week and going on this family trip. I don't know where they're going to. So I'll have to ask. Last year they went to Disney. So I'm not sure where they're going to, but we will find out when they get back. And then something that, as you know, last week, my neighbors, their grown son, who's supposed to get married within the month, had that car accident that I asked for prayers for. And he's progressing. He's still in the hospital, but he's in a regular room. He can get around with the walker right now because he fractured his leg and he tore the aorta. But they're hoping to get him back up to Lima so that Mom and Dad can visit him more easily, and his fiance and everybody. So they're hoping for that. And if that can, because he's not ready to move into his house because his house has steps and he can't quite do those yet. So they still need prayers. Bless their souls. Tammy and Ted, they've been driving to Columbus every day from here, which it's not that long of a drive, but it takes time out of your day, and then they've been coming home at night. They were staying down there overnight, but they finally felt like they could come home. When he got put in a regular room, they felt like they could come home now and spend the nights there, which I tell you, we just still shake our heads because it's amazing that, God's hand in this. So Dylan still needs your prayers. And so do Tammy and Ted. Okay. I reviewed a fun book this week. Excuse my papers over here. I review books for Waterbrook. I won't get their name right if I say the whole. Well, it's Waterbrook Publishing. And they came out with this one. And I haven't started filling it in yet. But I cannot wait. I just can't decide if you give it to both grandkids. They might be fighting over it. So I don't know. I may end up having to get another one. Because this is, Dear Grandchild, This Is Me. And it's a gift of stories, wisdom, and off-the-record tales. And it starts with a place, I'm not going to go through every page, but where you can write a nice little heartfelt letter to your grandchild. And then they start with youth. And they have questions for you to fill out. Like, when and where were you born? Was there a special blanket or toy that you always had with you as a baby? And so on. Then it goes through our heritage, my childhood first, and my high school years, which will be fun. Then the early days. Then they have off the record, and you get to choose one question to write about. And for this section, it's things like, what is something you used to do as a child that would be considered dangerous by today's standards? Did your first car have a name? What was it, and why did you name it that? Have you ever ridden in an ambulance? If so, what happened? Did you ever skip school? If so, were you caught? Where did you go? If not, were you tempted? And what's your craziest memory from your high school years? So, and then they have lots of places for pictures, like for that time. And then you can put notes or little mementos in the envelope. Then we go on to then they go on to sections like the real world and me venturing out on my own. What did you do after high school, college, trade school, work, travel, etc.? What were some of the highlights or amusing stories from this time of life? Matrimony and me, which basically that was I had 1 year after high school graduation, and Randy and I were married. Matrimony and me, the tale of our wedding and honeymoon. Memories of raising kids. What new traditions did you start with your children and how they come about? Did you grow up in a religious household? What did that look like? Did you raise your kids in that same faith, or did it change? Then it goes, the places I've been, so family vacations and things. And they have a place where you can color. the places where you've been. I don't have that many places to color. Well, I guess I've been to Canada. I've not been to Alaska, but I've been through a lot of the United States, which they have a U.S. map. Then, of course, I've been to Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. I think that's all the places I've been. Cook with me. And then they have a place where you could write a favorite family recipe. Then they have another off the record. How old were you when you felt grown up? Whose music did you listen to that you're now embarrassed to admit? What kind of mischief did your kids get into? Oh my goodness, they don't give me enough place to put that. Do you have any funny stories about your family pets? And then more pictures. Another envelope. And then, grandparent? That's me. The indulgent years. In what ways does your grandchild remind you of another family member? Oh my. What was your grandchild like throughout the different stages of youth? Some of this I can fill out, some of it I can't. My home's a me. Oh, the places I've lived. That's cool. My life today. What is your current daily routine? And so on. What's important to me beyond the facts? What makes you feel loved? What gives you hope? What brings you the most joy in life? Oh, well, that's easy. The people that are going to get this. And their parents. And my husband. Events that shape the world. Share a few words about your personal reflection of these events. They have a couple questions, and then they give you things like personal reflections. So, I wasn't alive during the Great Depression, or during the Holocaust, or World War II, the attack on Pearl Harbor, Japanese internment camps, although I do have a friend whose parents went through that. I can't really speak up to the Vietnam War, the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the Watts riot, the assassination of Martin Luther King, Neil Armstrong's moon landing, the miracle on ice hockey games, saw that one, the eruption of Mount St. Helens, the assassination of John Lennon, the Space Shuttle Challenger explosion, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and I can tell you where I was during most of those. Oh, and it goes on. And the last thing is Michael Jackson's death. Which of these historical events had a significant impact on you, and in what way? Oh my. Then it goes, my experiences with evolving technology. What are the most memorable inventions that happened during your lifetime? What technological changes with the arts, media, entertainment industry stand out the most to you? Well, if it weren't for one of the inventions, I couldn't be having the friends that I do over these long distances. So that's the way this book goes. The end of it, they have a place for a family tree, little photo corners and envelope seals. I want to see what the last section was. Oh, bake with me. Short thoughts of encouragement, and they give you different subjects. Advice, wisdom. So, great book if you have grandchildren. This is a super, super book. Or if you think one day you will have grandchildren, or you know somebody that's a grandchild, this is a great book. The list price is $16.99. But, I think I'm going to have to get two. And what I may do is have Randy fill in one, and I'll fill in the other. They may still fight over them, but I think it would be so cool. Anyways, dear grandchild, this is me. Okay, well that took me a little bit of time. Sorry about that, but I do love that book. And when I love a book, or I love a yarn, or I love a pattern, I go on about it. I think that's it for today, though. I hope you guys have had a great week, and I've enjoyed our visit today. I hope you have a good coming week, and I hope all your craftiness is successful. I hope you don't have any mistakes, but if you do, I hope they're little ones that are easy to correct. Big hugs. I love you all, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.